Can I start? Yeah. Good. Good evening, everyone. And so, if you are not with us this evening, we will be recording this session and posting it on Power School. But as we do all things at St. Ed's, we are going to start with prayer. So, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. Loving Father, we just ask that you continue to guide each of the members of our junior class as they move forward in the college admissions process. We ask that you continue to ease any worries, anxieties, or fears, and continue to bring joy and hope into the class, the parents, the college counselors, all faculty and staff, especially this year as we kind of just check through all of the different things, some of the new challenges perhaps that are coming our way. We have great hope and love, and we give you much thanks on this beautiful day. And with that, amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. So before I have Moira here, Miss O'Riordan, start us with our welcome, I just wanted to, I thought it made sense in regards to starting our prayer, also discussing discernment. So one of the beautiful things I think about our college counseling program, our St. Edward High School community, the Brothers of Holy Cross, is that we do discuss discernment in a beautiful way. And that is ultimately finding where God is calling us, right, each and every day. And so we know that this can be some challenging times for many of our juniors. And we know discernment can seem like a really big process. But we want you to know that we are with you. We are going to be with you through this entire process. And so whether that be prayer, reflection, some real time to just look at ourselves and say, what are our gifts? What are we bringing to the table? How do we use our strengths in order to better serve and love our God? So with that, just know that discernment is very much part of this process, and we will continue to pray that we can lead you to that graduation day, lead you through this college process in every way we can, with joyful hearts and with discernment at the center of everything that we are doing. So with that being said, I am going to introduce our wonderful Director of College Counseling, Miss O'Riordan, for our welcome.
Thank you. And that was beautiful, by the way. So, Mrs. Desi Rodriguez Gould, and behind the camera, but you'll see her later, is Ms. Alicia Watts. And we are so excited to launch this application search, our college search and application process with you. And I think I'd like to really get you to focus on finding a school that fits you rather than a school that maybe has a big name or is fashionable or prestigious. Because it's only a good school if it's a good school for you. And parents, I want you to keep in mind that a lot of these places have changed since you went to school. So what you think you know about your school or a school may no longer be true. I, for example, went to John Carroll University and I loved it. But John Carroll is vastly different today than it was when I went. And different isn't bad, it's just different. So let your sons and boys, you take the lead, right? You're the one going to college. Really let them explore. And boys, students, please be open-minded, right? Just because you've never heard of that school doesn't mean it's not a good school for you. So, and think about, as Mrs. Gould said, think about your gifts, your talents. Also think about what you value, because that should direct this search, right? So, and maybe that means you want to make a list of not only traits, but also how you are as a learner, right? Do you find Socratic seminars and discussions really enriching and engaging? And if that's the case, then you probably are going to be looking for smaller class sizes. And I would also say don't equate size with opportunity. Oftentimes, I think that's a myth. So oftentimes I think there's more opportunity in those smaller colleges and universities, because universities come in small sizes too, um, then, and that would surprise you. And the reason there are more opportunities is because there are fewer students, and if you're a doer and really passionate, happily ensconced, you're going to throw yourself into a lot more, into research, into all kinds of activities outside of the classroom. Um, so think about that. On the other hand, a lot of students are happy at large public universities, and some of them want the Division I sports activities, and they thrive on that. So I get that too. What I'm asking you to do is really focus on you and what you value and what you want. I would also say that given that more than 60% of first years change their major at least once, you want to make sure you put the school before the major, right? So that if you do change your mind and you're no longer interested in architecture, you don't have to leave that school. You can stay there. So also, I wanted to just quickly mention that we have some resources that can help if you're just at sea. This one, College Match, there's all kinds of questions and activities for you to do to help you figure out what is a good fit for you, right? And then this one, getting into the right college, and by that, right for you. Not that there's one right college for everybody. We're all different, right? We each have our own special gifts and talents, and that's what we need to focus on. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is that you are an applicant, not a supplicant, right? We apply on your strengths, and that after a good search and application process, applying on your strengths and with your college counselor's help, you should have fantastic outcomes, and you should be ensconced in a place where you're going to thrive and be very, very happy. And that's sort of the sweet spot. So we are very busy with seniors right now because the biggest deadline in college admissions is November 1. So as much as we want to see you and launch this process with you, we're happy to start after November 1. And so you have our sign up geniuses, or in the case of Mr. Morton, he will contact you individually and set up those college conferences. Mr. Morton is not with us today because he hurt his back. And so we wish him a very speedy and quick recovery. And we're sorry he can't be here. But the rest of us have sign up geniuses, and you can just click on your college counselor's sign up genius. They're all on PowerSchool, and get those college conferences scheduled for November or later. I'd like to also remind you that those are 2-hour conferences. Right now, we plan on having them remotely. So with your son or you, the student, either at home with your parents or guardians, or here with us and your parents or guardians at home. And then we have a pre-conference questionnaire that you must do before that meeting. It's also on PowerSchool. You can find it under activities and assessments. Please do a good job on that. We use that when we write your letter of recommendation. So be thorough, not short. So just a couple more things, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Rodriguez-Gould. So on PowerSchool, we have some videos that we've asked some of our some colleges that typically come and visit in the fall and to talk to you, juniors, and the college admission reps. Of course, this year they are not coming on campus, and we're sad about that. But some of them have done videos, and they range from really excellent Washington University and St. Louis video to hilarious Mount Union, very short video, and everything in between. But then also a lot of schools so you can just click on those at will, and the contact information for our rep is on there, so you can get in touch with him or her at any time, and start that personal relationship, which is really important in or can be important in showing how interested you are in that school. We call it demonstrated interest, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But also, a lot of schools have virtual information sessions, virtual tours, virtual open houses, all of that stuff. Everything we find, we put on Power School. Well, Ms. Watts does, and it's the royal we. And there are webinars you can register for. There's all kinds of stuff in lieu of the actual campus visit or them coming to our campus for a visit. They've been wildly creative about some of this. There are still schools out there that are allowing you to visit. So, in fact, Mount Union is one of them. Washington and Jefferson, that's about 30 minutes south of Pittsburgh, and they're allowing you to visit. So, if you identify some schools that you really want to visit, go to their website and see if they are allowing people on campus. Before COVID-19, if a school was in your backyard and you did not visit, that would probably be either a deny or a wait list, because you didn't show enough interest. Case Western Reserve University is all about showing interest. Now you just have to find other ways of doing that if the school you're interested in is not allowing you to set foot on campus. And one of the ways is to stay in contact with your admission rep by email or sometimes text or whatever the case may be. A lot of them are using Zoom meetings, and you can, have an interview that way, that sort of thing. There are also college fairs, so you can explore. And some of them, the NACAC College Fair was that coming up? It was like 200 schools, so you want to get online ahead of time, on their site ahead of time, and see who's there and who you're interested in talking to, and they walk you through how to set up all of those appointments. So it seems overwhelming, but it's really not. I think that's all for now, and if I missed something,
I'll try to
pick it up.
I think one of the key things in general is that we value professional development, and as a department, we really try to stay on top of trends. I think college admissions can seem overwhelming in general, and maybe especially this year, it might seem even more overwhelming, if you will. But we are here to support you in that process. That's our job. That's something we love to do. So we want to do that. One of the best ways to do that is to kind of just reiterate the college conference. So taking time to schedule that college conference after the November 1st date will be just very important, if you will, in regards to getting to know you, helping you find the right fit, and ultimately breaking down the process in a manageable way. I always tell my students, my goal is to hopefully reduce the stress in this, right? There's going to be work. It is a college application, but to ideally ease you into it and make it so it seems manageable, if you will. So there's 5 main pieces, if you will, to the college application. I always try to break it down in parts. So you have the transcript, right? So how you're doing in the classes. So that's where your focus should be lying. Academically, thriving in the classes that you're taking, communicating with your teachers, right? The second piece to that might be testing. So we're going to look at testing. I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Then you have your resume. How are you engaged in community? People want to know that, especially now. This is a unique time. So how are you finding community? How are you participating in activities in your school? How are you serving? Are you part of athletics still? What does that look like maybe, So a resume does say quite a bit about your interests, your strengths, what you care about. So obviously a resume becomes important. especially when numbers do not define you. We want to know more about you, right? So your transcript and testing are incredibly important. These are academic institutions, but your resume, your letters of recommendation, which would be item number 4, and your college essay, item number 5, those become incredibly important. So if you think about it, transcript, testing, recommendation letters, resume, and college essay, those are kind of ways I like to break down the application in a way to make it seem manageable and so that you understand like the importance of each aspect and why that's important. So just so you know, that's the beautiful part of the college conference is that we can break it down in a way that will ultimately help you. And you have an entire community of teachers that want to work to help you in that with that goal as well. So it's really an awesome thing. One of the hot topics tends to be testing, especially right now. Testing, you're hearing a lot of, oh, all these schools are going test optional. And there are a number of schools that are going test optional this year for our current seniors. We don't know if they're going to be test optional when your class is applying. They may not be. Typically, we would advise that you would do test prep. We're going to still recommend test prep because at the end of the day, despite about how I feel about testing, it still can be advantageous. There are still a number of programs, engineering, nursing, just specialty programs that are still requiring the test. So whether that be ACT or SAT, testing is still in the future. So right now we are still looking at testing for your class. We want you to do some test prep. We're going to talk to you about that when we actually meet with you and discuss some great ways to do that. It does not have to be overwhelming. Oftentimes these tests are content-based, so sometimes I remind students just by really focusing in on your academics in many ways, you are actually doing test prep. But there are a number of ways you can be doing that. So testing is still going to have value. I know I hear students now that are like, oh, we don't have to worry about the testing anymore, like testing is gone. That's not exactly, that'd be nice. That's not exactly the case though. So it is still part of the application. However, I actually was a very poor tester, and I know a number of students that just don't test well, and for a variety of reasons. And we understand that. So, of course, we're going to say yes, you need to do the test prep, and testing is still part of the application because we want you to be successful in that. And we are looking for what is most advantageous for admissions, and we are looking at those specialty programs. However, we recognize that maybe testing isn't your strong suit, right? So if that's the case, there are a number of schools that have historically been test optional. There are a number of schools that in the midst of this may very well stay test optional, that are really doing these very, very thorough holistic reviews. And I think we might see that in regards to testing. There is a website, fairtest.org. We will recommend that you look at that. You'll easily see every single school that is test optional. You can even break it down by state, and that can offer you some great insight. And like I said, during those conferences, we really take time to talk about your interests, your strengths. We'll talk about a number of different colleges, and we'll look at their testing profile as of right now and their academic profile. So keep that in mind. The other thing with testing that worries me a bit is, especially in the midst of everything going on right now, is the cost of testing. So if you are in a position where someone has lost a job, or perhaps there's a financial burden in regards to testing, you may be eligible for a fee waiver for testing. And that's just a matter of having a conversation with your college counselor to discuss that. And it would just be between you and your college counselor. But it is important that we have those conversations because, again, we realize the cost can be quite a burden, and we don't want that to be the reason one is not testing. So just keep that in mind. In regards to like these main pieces of the college application, I had mentioned letters of recommendation, and so my favorite person, the best letters, I swear. She just is so amazing with letter writing, is Ms. O'Riordan. So I'm going to have her highlight what we need in regards to recommendation letters.
Thanks. Actually, I'm going to say that all 4 of us have incredibly strong letter writing skills. It's really one of the greatest strengths of our department. And I'm not just saying that because we've actually heard, Desi herself has gotten thank you notes from college reps. And so, anyway, So in order to make those letters as rich and powerful as they are, we need help from you. And by you, I mean junior and parents or guardians. So first of all, I already mentioned the questionnaire, and so did Ms. Rodriguez Gould. So the questionnaire, I don't know, it's 52, 59 questions long, something like that. I really want you to be thorough with that, boys. And the more details you can put in there for us, the better. Also, parents, you have in the mailing that was sent home last week, you should have received a paper, and I meant to bring it, but a parent recommendation form. We also call that the brag sheet, and with some questions on it, and there are instructions at the very top for you, so you can decide which stories you want to tell us. But stories are really what we're looking for, right? Because I can say, oh, Tommy is this, Tommy is that. But if I show you something that Tommy has done that illustrates those, it's so much better. It's like the rule from English class, show me, don't tell me, right? So if you can share stories with us, we can help write a much better letter. And then also, if you want, like say Tommy is in Boy Scouts of America, and his troop leader has known him since, I don't know, he was 11. So maybe he could ask his troop leader to send his counselor an email with some comments or stories, observations, something else that we can use, right? Later on, we'll get some input from a couple of teachers, and so we write a letter for every one of our students. The teacher letters are often letters of recommendation. There aren't that many schools that want even one, much less two. They still are out there, and you and your college counselor will figure out if those are necessary for you. But right now, we just want to gather letters or gather stories that we can use for our letters. So let me give you one quick example. So one of my, Desi will like this one. So one of my former students wanted to be a cartographer, like Desi's daughter. And so he used to take slices of cheese, and he would nibble them into the shapes of countries and states for his brother to guess, right? And of course I used that because that's gold. So anyway, yeah, so please get those back to us. We would like them, as soon as you get them done, but hopefully at the latest by the time we have your college conference. So letters of brag sheet, any other evaluations, and now, ladies and gentlemen,
We did the switcheroo. I was like, now you see, school. Now it's just what? It's like, what's going on?
Right.
Hello, everybody. I was behind the camera. So I'm going to talk about, I'll start with the technology stuff first. So as Ms. O'Riordan was saying, I run the Power School page. You lucky me. So anytime anything is put on there, it is all me. So as she said before, the pre-conference questionnaire that the juniors will do before our conference, so pre-conference questionnaire, that can be found on Power School. We remind the boys so many times of where to find it, so like, don't worry, we will remind them again and again and again on how to find it. But really this year we've always used Power School as a hub in the first place, but I really think Power School is going to be, even more of our hub this year with, necessarily with conferences being virtual and this being virtual, just trying to make sure everyone's on the same page. So if you obviously you were on Power School because that's how you found the link to this, so yay. But as you'll see, on that Power School page, there's a lot of different tabs, right? So I always say that welcome tab, that is that very front page. I always try to put everything that I think is like, this is what you need to know right now. This is that scholarship that a student should be applying for right now, or this is what's going on. I try to keep that like, the happenings right now. But otherwise, the other tabs have just such great information. So, scholarships, students can start applying for scholarships now. And that we put those opportunities on PowerSchool. But we also go with we tell the boys of creating a Going Merry account. So Going Merry as in like Merry Christmas. That's a really good resource where a student just kind of puts in their information and, it's like a generator and just says, you could apply for 2,000 scholarships for this much money. It's a really cool website. But definitely use PowerSchool for that. I will also be putting those rep visits, those virtual rep visits on the PowerSchool page as well. So that if you want to see who our rep is or, see the information, or sometimes they're taking you around the school, like Ms. Reardon said, they're all a little different. But it's kind of a cool way to get to know our reps because, as we said, like Randy from Mount Union his was so funny and it was just so him. But it really gives some great information. We also put information, so hopefully this coming summer, there'll be like summer programs, internships at colleges where I swear so many colleges do something over the summer for students to go to, whether they're interested in engineering or the arts or English or you name it, and a school probably has a summer program for it. So when we start getting those emails, we put them on PowerSchool. I'm telling you, essentially any email anyone in the college counseling department gets that we think is going to be helpful goes on PowerSchool. So you can only imagine my inbox. It's a lot, but it's great. It's so helpful for you. So just, I would say check it as often as you can. And if there's ever a point where you think, hey, I think I'm missing this information. Is it on PowerSchool or could it be? Please let me know because I really do want this to be the one-stop shop for all of the information you could ever need. So please just let me know. I will also be any of the materials Ms. Reardon just mentioned. So the parent brag sheet, the financial questionnaire, all that will be uploaded into PowerSchool as well. So in case that, sometimes that piece of paper gets lost just in the fray of everything, you can go on PowerSchool and find it, obviously, along with this recording. And then Naviance. So some of you probably are pretty familiar, hopefully, with Naviance. That's another hub that we really use. And that's a hub that you're going to use a lot in the college process. So we ask that, there's a lot of ways to do research on colleges. There really is. But a really nice way that helps communicate with us as well on our end is if a student uses Naviance to like add schools. So when you go onto a student's Naviance, it says like colleges I'm thinking about, colleges I'm applying to, and I forget what the third one is. But the colleges I'm thinking about, you can add schools and each school will have their own little webpage that gives you like admission stats and costs and, like highlights. And it's really convenient. And then it'll also link you obviously to their actual website, which will have tons of information as well. The thing we like to use the most, I think we'll do this in our junior conference as well. We really like to do the scattergrams. I think when students find it, students and families love to use it as well. So what the scattergrams is it's under the admissions tab for a certain school. So let's say we're talking Ohio State, right? You look up Ohio State main campus and you go to the admissions tab and you look at the scattergrams and it gives you pretty much the statistics of the boys for 3 years? I forget how many years it is.
Right now it might be 4. I have to change that.
Yeah, I was like, I forget how many years it is, but it'll essentially show you where your student is or student where you are and everyone else who's applied to Ohio State around you and if they've gotten admitted or denied and where you are.
Only from St. Ed.
Only from St. Ed, yes, thank you. So it really gives you that nice look of, okay, I'm above, just like I'm with like a lot of people that got admitted, perfect. Or it might show you that you're kind of in that middle. So it's like, okay, maybe I need to work at school a little harder. If Ohio State does end up requiring tests again, I need to really study for that SAT and ACT. It really kind of gives you that information so that you kind of know what expectations you should have with each school as well. So super convenient, use Naviance. We really do love it, and we think it's super helpful for students. Okay, what else are we talking about? Ooh, boot camp week. So one of my favorite weeks for a student's junior year is every January we do what we call call is essentially your college application boot camp week. So it's typically a week or two after winter break. We always try to bring in a rep. Last year we did a rep from, or two reps from John Carroll, and they came into students' English classes and they did a nice workshop on how to write your college essay. And, you know, the college essay is kind of a big pillar, especially now for your college application. So they did a really good job of trying to get boys to start brainstorming what they want to talk about in their college application so that it stands out and it's not just like that typical college application essay. So you will be doing that in January. And then we also get with you boys that same week. So we have you once in English and then we have you in theology as well. And we will actually start your Common Application. So for those of you who might not be familiar with the Common App, it is an application that I don't even know how many schools at this point are a part of the Common App, but just I feel like about every single one is part of the Common App now, where you fill out one big application, long application, and then and then each college will have their own little supplemental areas, but then you just send that to all of them. So if you're applying to Ohio State and Ohio University and Allegheny College and Hiram and this place, it's very convenient. But we get boys started with that in January of their junior year, which is, let me tell you, way earlier than most students start their Common Applications. So what we really like to do is have boys kind of just start things so that by the time they get done with their junior year and they go into the summer, they're tweaking. Like we want boys, like a lot of our seniors are coming in this coming week with their applications, their essays done, and now it's tweaking time. So with us starting later, we're not in that hurrying up phase of making sure things are done. It's just kind of like, okay, let's make sure this is correct. Let's make sure this essay is perfect, all that jazz. So boys, get ready for January. We're coming for you. It's a fun week, I swear. Okay, so college conversations. So on September 17th, so that's this week, September 17th, we are doing our Paying for College conversation virtual, and Claudia Wenzel from John Carroll will be giving her talk about just financial aid in colleges. And let me tell you, she's just so knowledgeable. I feel like she's been doing it, I don't know how long, but a long time. So she just knows anything and everything about financial aid, and will give you tips, tricks, just the good information about how to fill out the FAFSA, the CSS profile, everything. So definitely changes. Yeah, she just does a great presentation. So we will be uploading that onto PowerSchool as well, that recording, so that you can watch it once, twice, 3 times, however many times you need to watch it, so that you have that information. Because obviously paying for college is, well, it's a hot topic, but it's also something that can be, frankly, very hard for families just to figure out the process as well. It's not an easy process. But keep in mind the rest of our college conversation programming, which hopefully all of you have either been to or at least have seen our postcards that we've sent out in previous years. They're going to be virtual, we know, at least this fall. So any things we do, those recordings will be going on PowerSchool. And then we hope at least in the spring that we can have parents back on campus for, whatever it is, for a little happy hour and to talk about whatever we're talking about that night. College conversations is just so much fun to get to know you parents, but then to also just learn something new and to have those conversations as well. So September 17th, don't forget, Paying for College with Claudia Wenzel from John Carroll. You'll learn a lot. And then, speaking of also just paying for college, so College Now Greater Cleveland, we're very lucky and blessed to be partnered with them. Doug Bose is our advisor, and usually he would be here on campus, usually almost once a week, every other week throughout the fall and / spring. But he'll be doing his virtual appointments throughout, this time now. So you can find his schedule once he makes it. We always put it on the St. Ed's website under our college counseling page. I'll probably also put at least the link of probably Sign Up Genius on PowerSchool as well, just so, the one-stop shop type thing. But he's super convenient. College Now is totally free to use. And keep in mind, sometimes if you work with Doug Bose as well and you work with College Now, they have a lot of scholarships they give out as well that students are able to apply for. But sometimes students can't apply for them if he hasn't seen them, right? So that's where using them as a resource is amazing. You can work with him. He'll help you fill out that FAFSA, fill out that CSS profile. When it comes to the spring and you get your financial aid award letters, he can help you figure out what it means, because sometimes it's just a lot of jargon and a lot of numbers, and sometimes, financial aid award letters from colleges look different, so it's kind of hard to figure out what they're saying. But he can do that as well. So please use him as a resource. He's there for us, like I said, again, for free. So definitely use Doug Bose from College Now. And then another thing that's very helpful when it comes to paying for college and knowing how much it's going to cost is the net price calculator. So every college has a net price calculator. They are legally bound to have one, and it's only supposed to be, I think it's 3 clicks off of their homepage. And if you can't find it, you could probably Google net price calculator, this college, and it'll pop up. And what you'll do is it'll have you type in, usually it's your student's GPA, their test score if they have them, if they require a test score, obviously. And then sometimes it'll be, asking for specific financial questions about the family. And then it'll pop out, usually what they could say is, okay, your student will qualify for this scholarship and this amount of money, and you probably will be paying about this much money if your student comes here. That is super helpful when building that college list, because we never like the time where our student finds that school that they absolutely love. And we love when a student finds their school that they absolutely love and that right fit, but then it's a shame when the family can't afford it, right? We don't want to see that. And that's why, using things like College Now, using Going Merry, looking at those scholarships that we put on PowerSchool, that's where all that can counteract that, right? Where it takes that expensive school and can make it a little cheaper. But let me caveat that as well with the net price calculator. There are schools that, the price tag in general is just more expensive, right? It looks it, but sometimes they're able to actually give more money. So I always say, don't let the price tag deter you from applying or looking at the school, because you never really know what kind of money they're going to be able to give you. The net price calculator is just kind of a good way of at least at first seeing, right? But please don't let the price tag, have you not apply, especially if it's a college your student likes, because you never know. So, yes. Is there anything else? I was like, is there anything else I'm missing?
No, great job.
Okay.
So just a couple of things. One, much like applying for college, if you don't apply, you're not getting in, right? The same thing goes with that net price calculator. It's a ballpark, it's an estimate. Some of them are fantastic, some of them are lousy. So maybe not lousy, that might be too strong, but some are just better than others. Like John Carroll has an excellent net price calculator. Not that I'm promoting my alma mater, but they spent money, they did a good job. I know when I did this with both of my sons, I found some were vastly better than others. And for the most part, they came in within about $2,000 of what the actual package looked like. The other thing I'd like to mention is that this is not the actual package, and it's not an offer of admission. It's just an estimate. So when you were talking about summer programs, I just wanted to mention, juniors, that most of those summer programs in normal years, this year,
I know.
right? Most of those summer programs are January, and the applications are due January and February. There's also study abroad, all kinds of stuff.
So much cool
Watts
stuff.
said. Yeah, it's
so much cool stuff.
amazing. If you can think it up, we can help you find it.
Yeah.
The other thing is the PSAT I wanted to mention. October 14th, if we're still in school, and I expect we will be, but on the off chance that maybe we go remotely for a little while, there are other dates that College Board has come up with this year, including January 29th, and so we can offer it again then. Meanwhile, because it's a school day, we make you take the PSAT, do a little test prep. And in doing the test prep for the PSAT, you're also doing test prep for the SAT, which, we want you to take in December if you can. Having said that, we had a lot of the public schools have canceled their testing, their administrations, and so, like, for example, the August SAT we gave here, we had kids from Michigan coming down to test here because they couldn't, and then some of our guys couldn't get in here for this fall, and so it's kind of a mess. Hence the test optional for the class of 2021. Maybe for you too, but as Mrs. Rodriguez Gould said, we don't know. So just, I would start assuming that I needed test scores, and I would start looking to sign up, at the earliest opportunity. Right now, I would try and sign up for December for both tests. So that's it. Do you guys have any, Mrs. Rodriguez Gould, do you have anything you want to add? Are there
There's
questions? Oh,
Oh, there.
I said no, if there were, I don't have any questions yet.
no questions?
I was like, if anyone has questions, if you want to just type it up in that chat, and we can answer whatever questions you have. Obviously, if they're, specific, we, as like your individual college counselor, can answer it if you don't necessarily want it to be discussed as a group. But yeah, if there's any questions, let us know. It's weird that there's no one here because it's like I'm used
How
to.
do you sign up for the tests in regards to ACT, SAT?
Great. So SAT is a product of the College Board. So you would go to collegeboard.org. Actually, your son, it was that a student or a parent?
Parent.
Okay, so your son needs to sign up because, and the other test is act.org. When he first signs up for those, there are these interest inventories, and he needs to do those questions himself. And so just hand him the credit card and have him sign up, or if he's going to need a fee waiver, have him ask his college counselor.
All I got so far. And this will be recorded and put on the PowerSchool page, right?
Yes.
Right.
This is being recorded.
Yeah.
I was like, we are recorded right now.
I guess I should also mention the fee waivers made me think of that. And you don't have to do it now, but if you are an athlete and you think you are going to be recruited or going to be playing for a Division I or a Division II college or university, at some point you will need to do to go to the NCAA Eligibility Center and register to play at the Division I or II level. Division III, you don't have to register, and so it might be too early for most of you to know yet if that will happen. But if you qualified for a fee waiver for testing, then you would also qualify for a fee waiver for the NCAA. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
And to go off of that, if you like to go on top of that, if you do get a fee waiver for testing and NCAA, when you're a senior, you can also get a fee waiver to apply for the colleges as well. I was like, it's
Exactly.
yay. Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it right now.
Okay, perfect.
You can always reach out to your college counselor, with any additional questions or.
Remind.
Oh, and please sign, students, we each sent you a remind, it's just remind, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, it's like a link.
And, but so you can put your you can put your phone in there, and then I can send reminders to all of my kids. Ms. Watts can send them to all of her kids. Mrs. Rodriguez Gould, same thing. And so, or I can text you individually. So please do that. It's a great thing. They can text me too, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
We're teaching Ms. Reardon all the joys of the Remind app.
I know. Well, I'm brand new to it, but Desi's
love it.
been using this for a while.
I
So,
love it. It's awesome. It's good stuff. We're really excited to start working with your class. To be honest, after doing orientation this week, it has been just a blessing, and it's been just an awesome exciting time to have the boys back on campus, having the life and the energy on campus again, the laughter, the joy. I mean, we're thrilled to be back, and we are very ready to work with you guys in this process. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Right?
Thank you.
Good. Thanks.